Hello everyone, Trees Lawler here. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Kangkong photo that I have posted. So that is from my trip to Davao in 2015. And I haven't been back since, so I went 2015, uh, 2016, and then 2017 for a few days because my grandfather passed away. And he had his funeral, I think maybe beginning of February. Anyway, so I was close to him growing up, so I wanted to go to his funeral. Right now, it's so hard to travel, but I would like to go back someday. But I usually don't go back for like at least 10 years, and that's if I've saved up a lot of money. So yeah, I probably won't be going back until 2025. Before that was 2005. Before that, I arrived here in 1992. Um, so Kangkong is a really, really cool vegetable, but it's not just really about the vegetable that makes that dish really, really yummy. It's about the sauce, that adobo sauce. I don't know how to describe it, but it just tastes like, you know, Philippine cuisine. I guess you could, kind of like it's kind of like when people taste like taco salsa, and it's like, oh yeah, like Mexican food, or like orange chicken sauce, like like just like the typical like buffet food, like orange chicken, like it's like, oh, that's Chinese food. Or if you eat like egg roll, and it's like, to me there's an egg roll that's like Filipino egg roll, and I'm like, oh, it tastes like Filipino egg roll. It tastes like Philippines. Yesterday I had this mango ice cream from the path. Someone had brought in mango ice cream, and the mango ice cream tasted like the Philippines mango ice cream, and it was really, really yummy. And to me, like, it's just stuff like that that tastes like home. And I think that's really important to kind of think about, and try to eat when you are with friends. So, if you're with like friends from, I don't know, people like, if you're with, let's pretend like it's your boyfriend. It's like he's from this country, but he likes to eat a lot of, I don't know, Asian food. Like, if they're from South Korea, they may like to eat a lot of kimchi. There's, like sometimes if you hang out with a lot of Vietnamese kids from like, I don't know, college or something, it would be good to have banh mi. But I didn't actually know about banh mi, really. Like, I didn't think of that. Like during college was when was the time that I hung out with a lot of foreign students, because RIT has a lot of foreign students. But yeah, I've hung out with an Indian friend, and we have gone to eat Indian food. Um, I've hung out with um, Filipinos, from Arakan, and it's like we ate the spaghetti that they liked, which was like a sweet spaghetti, like with condensed sweet, milk, or like the macaroni, but like the macaroni that Mira made, Junjun's sister. It was a little bit different from the typical macaroni that I had when I was in the Philippines. The macaroni I used to eat a lot in the Philippines, like once in a while, but I didn't actually really want to eat it. Like, it wasn't like the best food. I actually didn't eat a lot of like macaroni, but um, it tasted more like the macaroni from not Wegmans, Walmart. That's the Amish macaroni. So yeah, I just really, really like that sweet, like macaroni or that sweet spaghetti sauce that they have at Jollibee, or Ivy actually makes really, really good Jollibee spaghetti. So, or not Jollibee spaghetti, just spaghetti. But I haven't had food from Ivy, my cousin, since 2016. But it is cool to kind of explore, like, so what kind of tastes are there for certain foods? Like, to me, Mexican food is very, very salty. It's a little bit spicy, and it has a lot of flavor. Filipino food tends to be more sweet. Like, we even have like sweet banana ketchup. With Chinese food, it all depends. There's some more traditional Chinese food that isn't that flavorful. And like, you kind of can like learn about it on YouTube. That's where I usually learn like a lot of food stuff. But also like through movies and just reading about it. But nowadays, Chinese food is very, very flavorful. It's like sweet, spicy, like it has all the flavors. Same with Thai food, but like Thai food has that specific taste. And I think it might be because of the galangal root. Like, it has like a more galangal root type taste. Also, so when I worked for a Thai restaurant, like galangal root and tom yum, it makes the soup a little bit different compared to sinigang. That's Filipino. It's kind of similar, but sinigang makes it more sour. And I actually have a sinigang packet I should use. But yeah, you definitely just have to kind of like explore certain foods and kind of can go, oh yeah, certain foods are more like this. Or to me, really, it's like that's the kind of flavor that I like in food. So yeah, I think that a lot of like food that is Costa Rican food, it's kind of like Mexican food in a way. But it's also like Filipino food. Nicaraguan food is kind of like Costa Rican food and Filipino food. So Mexican's a little bit different actually compared to Costa Rica and Nicaragua, like Costa Rican food and Nicaraguan food. And it might just be because of their like more like it has to be like more it's stronger like in taste compared to other foods. And it might be because these guys didn't just didn't want as much spices almost. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about like Indian food versus Mexican food, Indian food has a lot of spice. And that's because, they're used to that, and that's what they like, and that's what their country is called for forever. And I think, certain countries just have a lot of flavor in their food, and Indian food is one of the most flavorful. Russian food is not that flavorful. I just haven't really had that much Russian food, but the Russian food that I've had, I've always been like, it's kind of bland, but you know, um, they have yummy candy. I don't even know what Russian food I've really had. I think just potato, but Irish food, not roast beef, the corned beef is really, really flavorful and salty, and the cabbage is, it's really, really yummy. But yeah, that's the only like really, really Irish food I can think of. But if you compare like certain foods like Irish food versus like the typical British food, like, besides fish and chips, which is pretty bland, um it has this like, to me, like, I guess, there are foods that are, Indian food that are not that flavorful. There are foods that are Mexican food that are not that flavorful. And then there are foods that are, the more quote unquote bland, like the Russian food, that are more flavorful. But if you think of like the typical food that people have, like if you go to a Russian house or apartment, I mean, and then is it like gonna be a flavorful Russian dish versus, if you go to a like, someone's household and they're like Indian, are they gonna cook like a really, really flavorful Indian food? Like, and it's like, yeah, they usually do, I think. But if you think about, like, it's not always like that. But if you could, like, go, oh, how many people in Red Bluff are Indian? And what are the typical foods that they prepare? And is it like all really, really like spicy and flavorful? But like, I don't have a way of doing that. But if you wanted to do like a research, like, you could, because it's like, yeah, every country, like the Philippines, has non-sweet food. But if you think about it, the typical Filipino household will try to serve you something really, really salty, that's like bulad, with like a lot of salt on your egg and a lot of whatever, or something really like a really, really sweet spaghetti. So it's like always like sweet, salty, like, and kangkong is one of those, like, really, really salty. And so it just really hits home, and it's like, oh, that tastes like, a Filipino dish. And kangkong can be adobo. Chicken can be adobo. So usually it's chicken adobo that I have. My mom cooks, well, used to cook chicken adobo every single day. And I got sick of eating that. But, the adobo that is the Jamaican, or like the Bahamas, or wherever it is, adobo, like, it's a little bit different. So, yeah, to me, you really have to kind of go, is this like, a typical food, like a typical home cooking food, like, and I guess, every city is gonna have like a different thing. Like, I think Sacramento Filipinos are very different to like San Francisco Filipinos. Like, if you think about it, like, San Francisco will have like more seafood, although Sacramento does have a lot of seafood. But they might have more Chinese food, like Chinese food takeout, versus like San Francisco might have more seafood, because it's like next to the ocean, and it's easier for them to get fresh seafood. And maybe like a Maine Filipino family. I've never really been to like a Maine Filipino household, but I've met someone from Maine who was half Filipino, and I think, his family, his mom probably cooked a lot of Filipino seafood. So, yeah, I think there's something about, being next to like a place that, like, where you go fishing a lot. So you would have more like Maine, like Filipino, like families, like having a seafood based meal, like tilapia, bangus, which is milkfish, anything that's like a lot of like different kinds of fish, versus Sacramento or LA. Like LA, you're just gonna have, I think, probably, like, I don't even know, what the LA Filipinos eat. But when I went to LA, I was just there for a day, and well, for like, I arrived there during the day in the afternoon, and then so I was there one night, and then the next day, my little brother had his graduation, and the day after that, I took off. So I guess I was there for 2 nights, and 2 days. But we went to, like, a sandwich and soup place. So for me and my little brother, like, we had a lot of, like, home cooking and stuff from like my dad, that was like steak or like whatever, but it wasn't like a lot of seafood, versus a Maine Filipino family would have a lot of seafood, or San Francisco or Sacramento. And I think, when I went to college, I ate a lot of soup, chicken noodle soup, and sandwiches. I just, like, I get like ingredients, and I just don't really know what to do with them, because my mom didn't make me cook. My dad did not make me cook, and I only did, for a little bit. And then I don't know, what the cooking situation is for my one little brother, but I'm sure, he goes out to eat, and probably to maybe like a Mexican restaurant or like an Asian restaurant. But it would be cool, like, if, like, and that's the thing too with like your family. It's like, so your parents had you cooking or not cooking. And if you grew up in, like that household that focused on, the kids cooking, like that's cool. Like, but I never really met anyone in like middle school or high school whose parents made them cook. Now that I think of that, like, because, the way I grew up in Houston and in Rochester, um, like the families were always so busy, and it was usually like the mom who would cook, and the kids didn't really. And I don't think like, that would have been like even like a thing, like to think of like going to school all day, then going to sports, then after that you also have to cook for your family. Like I would have been like, oh my god, and then I also have to do like homework. So it all depends. So I should have said, oh my gosh, sorry. I didn't mean to do that. But the thing here is that, every family varies, every country varies. But it's cool to be able to, notice what certain people eat. And I smell Indian food on certain people. Like yesterday, there was a guy that I ran into, and I was like, he smells like Indian food. I was just, I didn't know him, but I'd seen him at the path, and I was like, I smell Indian food. Where could I have gotten Indian food from? Because, I wish like I had I stayed at like a family, like, with like anyone here that was like, but yeah, I don't really meet a lot of Indian people like out and about, but that would be cool because then it would be like, oh, they have like, curry. But yeah, I don't really know a lot of families here. And, here it's a little bit more like, everyone just kind of gets food from like Walmart. I want to say Wegmans. See, like, that's the other thing is that growing up in Rochester, we had Wegmans. Here we have Rayleigh's, but not a lot of people get as much takeout. But really, in Rochester, if you were the typical Rochesterian, you would just go to Wegmans and get the takeout from Wegmans, from like the Wegmans buffet, obviously, or like the little like Tupperware thing, right? Like, I don't know why you wouldn't. And so, that's something that I really, really enjoyed with Rochester. Here we have Walmart and Rayleigh's, and then, the restaurants obviously, but like it's a little bit more like maybe for people who have a lot of money, it would be like a weekends or every few days. But it's like sporadic. But I'm very glad that we have Canellas here to be able to experience really, really good like pork carnitas, which is one of my favorites. And then like it's a little bit Mediterranean too, and a little bit Asian taste. So you really get a lot of flavors, and I think Canellas has that specific flavor that like if you taste it, you would be like, oh, that's like home. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just wow, like this is yummy. So yeah, I am very, very lucky to be able to, share with you guys all the different foods that I've had in the past, and to also talk to you all about, like what I would suggest. So anyway, that is it for my video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.